Acacia was a small tribe in the enchanted forest. People lived in tree houses. The forest was tan and brown. The grass was crispy under feet, and the trees were skyscraper tall. The morning stars shone like silver snowflakes. With sorrel flecked the blanket of grass. People walked in and out of shady glades. The peace of the morning was soul-soothing. The forest smell was fresh and organic. Children picked some wild pears, and they were meadowsweet. In Acacia lived a man in his 40s who owned the majority of tree houses. Many years ago, his 2 brothers were killed by a tiger. For this reason, he also took care of their children as well as his own. David was the youngest of all children. He was a naughty boy who was always thinking of new ways to tease others. He was always energized, refreshed, and excited about life. One day David went to a stream with his brothers to draw water. It curved gently through the forest, happily hopping over the rocks and splashing as it moved through the trees. David took a drink, and it was very refreshing. The aroma of the forest was great. He walked along it, and it drew him to a berry bush. As he bent down to pick a berry, he saw a beautiful stone lying on the forest floor. He took it up and looked at it from every angle. It was small but gleaming. When he raised it to sunlight, it shone even brighter. David put the stone between his teeth to see how hard it was, but it slipped into his stomach. "Oh my goodness, what have I done? I swallowed the stone. I wish it doesn't hurt my stomach," cried David aloud. Suddenly, an unknown man appeared from behind the trees and heard David. He grabbed David's arm and inquired as to what he had swallowed. David got scared. His father had told him about such people who came to the forest with magical sticks that shot things that killed people and animals. That strange-looking stick was known as a gun, and everyone in the forest was terrified of it. David tried to free his arm, but the man shook him hard and asked him again what he had swallowed. David shouted, and the man slapped him to the ground. David tried to stand up, but the man kicked his leg hard. He inquired once again about what he had swallowed. David told him that it was a small stone. The man searched the bush, but the stone he had hidden there was missing. To confirm his suspicions, he asked David what the stone looked like. David told him it was small and beautiful. The man got angry. He told David that the stone was precious. Some people were following him in search of the stone, so he threw it in the bush, thinking he would pick it up later. He yelled at David, threatening to cut him open to get the stone. He said he saved the stone for his ailing mother. He intended to sell the stone for a large sum of money to get her treated. However, David was unable to understand what the man was saying. He had no idea what money was or how it could help his sick mother. Suddenly, the man collapsed to the ground. Someone shot him, but he couldn't see anyone. David jumped to his feet and ran through the trees. He kept running until he reached his house. The natives were fighting against some strange people who had guns in their hands. 5 natives lay dead on the ground. They threw stones at the strange people from their tree houses. David picked a huge stone and hurled it at one man's head. The man fell to the ground unconscious. The other man pointed the gun at David, but he was knocked down. David was quickly drawn back behind the trees by his mother. The fighting went on, and the natives were dying. Suddenly, some people walked out of the trees, stopping the other men from killing the natives. The fight stopped, and a man came forward and said in a loud voice that you had a precious stone of ours. If you returned that stone to us, we would leave without hurting anyone." The natives looked at each other. They asked one another what stone the men were talking about. "We don't have enough time. If you will not return the stone within 5 minutes, we will kill all of your children and women," said the man again in a loud voice. The natives got scared. One of them came forward and said they had no idea what stone they were referring to. The man told them that it was a diamond, a small and shiny stone. David was hearing everything. He thought that if he didn't tell the men he had swallowed the stone, they would kill all his people. But he recalled what that man said about having to cut him open to get the stone. A wave of terror coursed through his veins. But he had no choice. He gathered some courage and ran to the men. He explained to men that he had accidentally swallowed the stone. The men looked at David and burst out laughing. They told David that lying could not save his family. But David insisted that he wasn't lying, that he had swallowed the stone, and that the natives had no knowledge of the stone. One of the men approached David and said that if he had swallowed the stone, they would have to cut him open to get it. David got scared. He told the man if they didn't believe him, they could cut him open and find it. The men were amazed at his bravery, but they laughed and pushed him to go away. Time was ticking away, and David couldn't bear the thought of his people dying. He told the men if they got the stone, leave without hurting anyone and never return. The man laughed and said they had nothing to do with the forest people. They planned to leave once they had the stone. David approached one of the men and snatched his knife. He stabbed himself in the stomach and fell to the ground. The men were taken aback. The natives rushed to David, but the men aimed the gun at them. David was still breathing. One man approached him. He shot David dead. The natives got both angry and scared. But before they attacked the man who shot David told everyone what David had told him about the stone. All the people got shocked. The man told the natives that he was going to cut David's stomach. If he found the stone, he and his men would leave, otherwise, other children would die too. The natives were angry, but they had no choice. The man cut open David's body and took out the stone. After that day, David became the symbol of bravery and honesty for the forest people.